All right, trucks at Auto Club. Gonna do my normal setting here for trucks at bigger tracks, 16:1 plus 0. That's comfort based. Then a low brake bias. You might need just a little tiny tap of brakes for long run, specifically into turn 3. But you probably won't. Or at least you can get away with not using it. So there's going to be second lap, so we're just going to be kind of chilling and getting up to speed here for a while. The line is going to be bottom each side. You're going to have to arc a little bit, especially into 1, because the car doesn't really love to sit without sliding in a lot of the parts of this track. 3 and 4, it's a little easier because you can really, there's a lot of room on exit. I just could not get in my attempts, I could never get it wound up enough for a first lap, hot lap. You can see how just even a tiny bit of speed, really, everything just goes away. So that's not really the line. I'm just kind of trying to warm the tires up but not wear them too much. We're going to run the top 3 and 4 here. Just trying to keep the car under me as much as possible. Trying to straighten out the wheel as early as possible as well. Should get a decent run to the line here. Don't really love going down to the apron because it kind of kills a little bit of your speed for all of the lap. So we're going to get a little wide here. A little tiny blip off the throttle to get turned down. Then once we get turned down like this, we should be able just to let it up the track. You don't want to turn the wheel too much or else you get that understeer that you really don't want. Then 3 and 4, we can just full throttle this the whole way. Get that really good turn down into the corner, get all the way to that white line, and then you'll find that it's a lot easier to exit 3 and 4. Not a heck of a lot to go over there. Like, it's pretty much full throttle except for a tiny lift out on turn 1, so I guess we'll look at that real quick. The times are going to be pretty darn weather dependent. The only way that you can make up time in this is really by just your timing and getting back to the throttle here. You just want to get it all the way down to the white and then be able to full throttle it. But you can see here, like, I'm blipping up to half for like a little, like a second, and then getting right back in. The only reason I'm blipping up to half is to help the car rotate. Because if you don't get the car rotating enough, you will go hit the wall and exit it too. You might want to arc it a little bit more into 1 than this. If you're struggling getting it to stick to the bottom, you might be able to carry a little bit more speed arcing it out wide. But I personally found that the car doesn't really respond to turning the steering wheel very well if you try arcing it like that. So maybe that with a little bit of off throttle time will help the rotation. 3 and 4, just make sure you arc it a little bit, but still make sure to turn it in really early so that you can get to the white. And then once you're there, you just basically try to keep as little steering wheel input as possible while going full throttle, and that's how you maximize that time. Pretty straightforward, honestly. Long run though, it's a little bit more interesting. Honestly, that lap line is kind of what I like to do for long run. In these trucks, they're just not going fast enough for the top to be worth it. So this is going to end up being a pretty draft packy race with a lot of side-by-side searching for clean air, all that good stuff. You can make pretty much the first 3 lanes off the bottom work pretty well, and then as the run goes on, you might see some people start with the top. For what I know, though, 3 and 4, this bottom line where you slide up on exit is just the best line, period. 1 and 2, it becomes a little bit more up to interpretation. So instead of going all the way to the bottom, let's say I can run first seam here and make sure I turn it in early. A little bit of off throttle time. And you can see that it's a little bit slower, but if you're in traffic and you're avoiding someone's dirty air, that it's serviceable. But if you try running up here in 3 and 4, you'll find that it's just a lot worse. Honestly, that wasn't that bad. It was about the same. But the bottom is just kind of where it's at in both ends. And the only thing that changes as the tires wear is just how much you lift on entry. If you get really, really old tires, you might have to do a little tiny brake tap just to get it there. But trucks here is essentially super speedway racing. It's not. It's going to be more about racecraft and how you deal with your runs and how you guess which lanes to go into the corner and commit and be able to run everything. Being able to run everything is not that hard. So like for instance, let's say I'm top of 3 wide going into 1 here. I can hold them like right here, and it's just full throttle. But you can see how much wheel I'm using to full throttle this. So if you care about your tires, you do want to get to those bottom lanes, or you want to do a little bit of off throttle time on the top. So like for instance, up here, if I do a little tiny lift and then brake back in, I lose a ton of time. But I'm not using any steering wheel compared to what I was in 1 and 2. So there's a trade-off. And honestly, if you're running the top, you might as well just commit to the top. But that's why I'm saying you probably want to use the bottom if you're worried at all about your tires. I don't know if you should be worried about your tires because there's usually a lot of wrecks here. But let's say that there's like a caution that doesn't, or like there's a wreck and it strings up the field, but no caution is called early in the race. And you're like, oh, we could actually probably be running a long run here. That's when you run the bottom. That's when you do your little lifts into 1 to make sure that your car is pointed. And that's how you save your tires. 3, it's all about just making the bottom and then letting the car slide up. I was actually a little bit shallow, so I might hit the wall here. No, it's you can always use the steering wheel to bail you out. It just takes a little bit of tire away. So, not super complicated. It's probably even tire wear, maybe a tiny, but yeah, it's as even as you can get across the board. Maybe a little bit of right front because we were cranking the wheel, but yeah. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day. Hope to see you all on the track.